Morning once again, E-Dirt, and believe you me, I need this coffee. This is a double cappuccino. I'm normally a big girl's blouse and I have the single shots. This time I need it. Very long, hard weekend down in Malalan for the National Championship for the off-road cars, part of the Donaldson National Cross Country Championship. That was around about 45 degrees average. I don't think it was quite that hot down in Cape Town for the latest round of the National Off-Road Bikes in the Koa Bokkerveld, but I know it was a warm one. We'll get to that just now. But what I wanted to explain to everyone out there is why we sometimes talk about the cars with the bikes, sometimes without. It's pretty simple, really. For this year, they're trying to put together all of the infrastructure and everything that involved in running these national championship races to try and save a bit of cost. We're having, I think, 2, maybe 3 rounds where the cars, bikes and quads all come together, like we did in the desert. We had one at the beginning of the year as well at Freiburg. Worked an absolute treat. So the whole idea is a couple of tester events going forward into the 2017 season. And already I can hear some rumblings and mumblings underneath everyone's breath that we're pretty much heading the way of putting the cars, bikes and quads back together how they should be. I'm a firm believer in that. Spread the infrastructure, spread the cost, and make the party and the vibe a lot bigger. Okay, let me just climb down off my soapbox now and get to the business at hand. Hollywood Hills this week, I'm going to be talking about a quick review on the Koa Bokkerveld, the latest round and the penultimate round of the National Off-Road Championship Series. And then we'll do a quick look at the latest round of the Enduro range from Husqvarna. On the Koa Bokkerveld, everyone knew what they had to do. It's been a long time since the guys went racing. In fact, it was all the way back in the desert, which is now coming up to what, like 2 months ago? Something like that. I lose my way sometimes because I am real busy hopping around the country trying to cover all of these events. So yeah, since the desert, and everyone talked about the big war, the Yamaha KTM situation. Ross Branch famously taking the lead in the championship of that round and going to Cape Town knew exactly what he had to do. Behind the scenes, Kenny Gilbert, pretty much I think it was about 2 weeks, if not a little bit more, switching out from the Husqvarna 501, the 500cc as you and I know it on the 4-stroke, which he's been rocking the whole way through the year, to consistent finishes, but not yet a season victory. This time around, he stepped onto the new SX450, the motocross version of the bike. I believe that's right. I know Fred will no doubt correct me if I am wrong, but the big story is stepping from the 500 to the 450, and he found it. He got the job done and finally got the win in the OR1 category. Well done, King Kenny Gilbert. No more will I be calling you just the king of consistency and never going for the win. You got that one in the bag. Sounds like Ross was on point. I think Ross was actually going to go ahead and take the win. Very late in the final lap, the Moose collapsed. He had to roll it back. He got second place, third overall, second place in the R1 Open class. Still hangs on to the lead in the championship, but it has been brought back. Remember, he had a 6-point lead heading into this round. Now with Kenny taking the win and Ross taking the second place, that has been brought down to very, very small crumbs on the plate. That means the final round is going to be an absolute nail-biter. Penty, you can see he battled with the pace down there and maybe putting a little bit too much pressure on himself after his mechanical woes out there in the desert. We know Penty can definitely pick up the pieces and he's going to be a threat heading forward into the final round nonetheless. Loschmidt, bad time trial. I think it's something that Loschmidt's going to have to work on going forward. I don't know if he just kind of maybe gives into the nerves at these big events. I shouldn't think so because he's still the man to beat and always is the man to beat for the last 2 seasons in the OR2 class. Anyway, cut a long story short, he walked away with a big win in the OR2s, and in the OR3s, not only a win in the 200 or 250cc class for Brett Swanepoel, but an overall win. And that's huge. And that's a great big fight back from Yamaha in the championship, and also the doubting Henrys out there as well. Because to see a 250 4-stroke taken overall, beating out 350cc and 450cc machinery, that's huge. Respect to you, Brett Swanepoel, and to Yamaha, as well as Yamaha South Africa. What a way to turn around your season that, well, we saw Brett Swanepoel lose a chunk of championship points in the desert. He's climbing the ladder. I don't know if it's going to be enough to see him get back into the championship points lead, but it certainly answered a lot of questions that will have been itching in the back of his mind. On the quad side of things, nice and busy, not a huge entry once again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that in my back pocket because I've got a weekend free coming up. And then next week, we'll do a full review on how the quads went down at the Koa Bokkerveld. Right, let's move forward then. Husqvarna, great. I love this time of year. A couple of weeks back, KTM just rolled out their new range of enduro bikes. This previous week, it was Tuesday that we went across to the Boksburg area. Fred Fensham and Francisca, they rolled out the new Enduro range of Husqvarnas, And the numbers that came out, I mean, we had a very brief presentation. Unfortunately, I didn't get to ride the bikes the next day. That was my fault. Committed. I'm trying to break down walls and be Bob the Builder at my house, but I will be swinging a leg over those over the next couple of weeks as soon as I can find a little crumb of time myself. But the range of Husqvarna going forward into 2017, the key notes are a lot of the bikes coming out with traction control. You've got a full mapping system, which is just push button on your thumbs, on the fly, on the ride. So lots of tech coming into these bikes as well. And skinny, man, these things are like sitting on a razor blade, but that's what you want. You want to be able to move around, let the bike travel around underneath you as well. Improved suspension, going for the full WP systems now, front and back. We know already from years gone by on KTMs and Husabergs that these are a great package. So it's great to see them as an OEM component. We've got Metzler tires coming on board there as well as an OEM product. You've got Pro Taper bars. There's a ton of factory that's not factory, but it is factory as these things come out onto the floor. Yeah, we know the white KTMs, the Husqvarnas are always going to be a little bit more expensive, but you do get what you pay for. These things are, well, ready to race plus VAT. That's the way I want to phrase it. Across the board, shavings, I think on the 125s, the 250s, the 300s, the smokers, these things are finding around about 2 to 3 kilograms across the board versus last year's models. And in the strokers, huge numbers, 6 kilogram weight saving coming out of the 501 from last year to this year. So maybe Kenny could have actually stayed on the bike as long as it was a new one, because 6 kgs, go to the shops, pick up a 6 kg bag of sugar. I don't know where they shaved that off, but they made the engines much skinnier, much more compact. They got all of the revolving weight down at the bottom. So we know these things are going to be absolutely incredible when they hit the shelves. The problem is Rand dollar, Rand euro, Rand whatever you want to call it, the Rand is hurting at the moment. So the numbers are going to be a bit wild. But normally the guys that are buying the Husqvarnas aren't too badly impacted by the change in currency. So I think they're really going to be in for a treat when they put in their orders for the 2017s. They'll of course be rolling out more and more of the bikes throughout the year, but this was the Enduro range. And well done to Husqvarna South Africa, an absolute killer setup going forward. So I said it was going to be nice and quick this week. That's pretty much it. So the Bokkerveld and then a little review on the Husqvarnas. As we pick up more and more information, we will be feeding it back to you here on Hollywood Hills. So remember, next week we'll be picking up on the Koa Bokkerveld, the penultimate round of the National Off-Road Championships, and concentrating on the quads going forward. Farm Jam, our next event, the opening race weekend of the new month, September. Where has 2016 gone? Man, oh man. So I was very involved with the Farm Jam guys and the Van der Westhuizens up there. This time around, stepping out of the Enduro Cross scene, FJX, this time back to the standard option off-road or GXCC format of the Farm Jams. So if you guys haven't already seen it, we're posting up an advert, and keep an eye on the sites, obviously on Facebook and social media going forward. And then, yeah, we'll get into September, ease our way through there, and I'll try and not be as frantic and not worry about the house building so much next time. I've got a weekend off, but I will see you guys next week when I review the quad racing from the Bokkerveld. Hollywood Hills out. Keep the coffee pumping.